Hey, everybody that's watching. I'm Zach, and this is Travis. I'll let him introduce himself here in a second. But basically, we are two people who grew up in Ohio skating and learned some stuff from skating. We're going to talk a little bit about that in our lives and where it's led us to now. So, Travis, want to tell us who you are?
Yeah, so my name is Travis. I reside in Maryland now. I have for 10 years, and I used to skate in the Midwest where I grew up. For skated there for about 15 years, and I just kind of. It's a funny story, in fact, that skating got me into cycling, and now it has kind of come full circle where I have slowly started to get back into skating again. So it's a new adventure that I'm really excited about, and
Yeah.
here we are.
Yeah, that's why it seems like skating's a little bit back on the rise, and I don't know if it's that skating's back on the rise or that people being home it allows them more time to do their hobbies that they forgot about, or maybe it's nostalgia. I don't know. What do you think? Why is it coming back?
I do think that it's a combination, and now that we're all kind of in our 30s, I think people are looking for ways to get out and be active. I do think that the pandemic was a little extra a push, in that regard. And we all used to skate all the time. Now we can easily watch all of these skate videos, watch these interviews. And I think for a lot of us, it has just kind of reignited, that outlet that we all used to share. And we're like, hey, you know what? We used to do this. We're in our 30s now. I think I still got it. Let's give it a try.
Yeah,
And it's exciting. So
yeah, cool. Well, I'm going to take you back down memory lane real quick.
okay.
So can you tell me or remember what was your favorite skating moment in your life experience?
Wow. Favorite skating moment. You know, I what comes to my mind is back when we really started becoming serious about filming and making videos, and we knew that pros were out there. And they had at Ohio Surf and Skate, I remember Omar Wysong and John Elliott were there, and it was kind of like this moment where I was like, oh my gosh, these are real guys. We're about to meet them. We're gonna skate with them. And and it was kind of like a catalyst for our little skate careers, taking
Yeah,
it to the next level, where it was like, yo, it is go time. Let's do this. So that's one of my fond memories. I remember we were all kind of just awestruck, and
yeah,
funny enough, 10 years later, we ended up skating with some of those guys either out in California or we were involved in some way.
yeah,
But that early exposure uh, was really cool
yeah.
as a kid, teenager. So
Yeah, the way I remember it is you really were kind of the person who built the skate scene because you were the first person. I remember you moved into the neighborhood where I live, and like you asked me if I had rollerblades, and I think I had some like really cheap, like crappy ones. I was like, yeah.
yeah, so did I.
And then you got a pair of rollerblade squashes, and yeah, you would like. I just remember like hitting little curbs in the driveway. Like
Yes,
we would throw like tables. There was for some reason we had tables in my garage. We'd like put them up as ramps, um, and
yes.
then we went to the fairgrounds and we like literally destroyed property on the fairgrounds to build ramps and like do
We
whatever.
did.
But
We had that little mini skate park.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So what was it that got you initially deciding that you wanted to put on rollerblades or whatever? What started that?
You know, uh, I think in some ways we all, I kind of think I can speak for all of us. We had like an excess of energy that we had to spend on something, and you know, rollerblading was something we had access to, and we all kind of became friends, and we all shared that in common, you know. And again, it was new and exciting, and we used all those little inventive ways to make it really fun, even though we lived in this real small Midwest town.
Yeah.
And it took off. I think once we became friends, and with Isaac, and we all had blades, and you know, and we started building ramps, and that was it. It was just like, this is something we all can do. It's fun, and it never stopped, you know,
Yeah.
essentially. So
Yeah. Tell me, just as again, I'm trying to go through the timeline
yeah.
and story. What kind of an impact do you think it had on us meeting Josh Metz when he moved into town?
Well, again, and it's funny because I was thinking about this earlier, and similar in the experience at Ohio Surf and Skate. Meeting Josh, he was kind of like this like celebrity skater that we heard about in around town, and you know, we heard stories about him doing this. Maybe where is this guy from? He was kind of a mysterious figure.
Yeah.
And then here he comes, and I can remember it like yesterday, him skating towards us at the welfare ledge, and we were like, oh my God, that's him. And like, yeah, you know, and I think he flew up and did one of those crazy like true topsouls where like, you know, his legs are moving one way and his body's moving like
Yeah.
or face. But meeting Josh was a big deal. And I remember for me, I was like, this is an older guy, and one of my first older friends who had a car, and who was better than me. I could like learn from him,
Hmm.
and he wanted to skate with us, and it was like really, really exciting. And that, again, having that friendship, and you know, his ability to take us places as well, and kind of put a middle finger to authority, and we're like, whoa, like, you cannot follow rules and like kind of do
Yeah.
what you want. Like, all of it was exciting meeting
Yeah.
Josh.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember that too. Like, cause he was hitting handrails, and like we'd go to the Wilmington College, and he'd like grind, soul grind the Herman Court rail, or like, I think the story that we were told, I think was the way I remember, the first I heard of Josh was from John Cropper, skateboarder.
Okay.
And John said that he had hit the Christico rail in town. And I was like, what?
Oh
Is this guy like a
yeah.
professional? Like, what's going on?
Right.
But that's, and then, yeah, I remember, meeting Josh and riding around in his car, like listening to DMX, and,
Yeah, it was like a whole new exposure, right?
yeah,
Just
yeah, it's
yeah,
different.
that's
Um,
amazing.
as it went on, I remember like Booge got involved and started skating. I think he kicked it off with his roller balls, right? That had like massive
Yes.
soul plates.
Yeah, they were really interesting rollerblades.
Yeah, yeah,
That was it. Yeah, the roller balls.
yep. And then I can't remember. Did we start going to like? Then we started going to the Middletown skate park, right? Um, and
Yeah, so Middletown, we kind of knew it was being built, and it was, I remember then again, there was kind of that progression of us starting to skate together. We knew the skate park was being built. Brenda worked in Middletown at the time, and yeah, that was like the next phase was going to the Middletown skate park.
yeah, I remember going, and like, we'd see people there. Like, there's that guy. His name was Steve, I think, but he would like do these huge 360s over the pyramid, and they'd all hit the hand, like the little rail there, and like
Yeah,
really starting to realize like there's other people. Like, this is a culture, and it's a bigger thing, but also like being exposed to more people like Josh who were just like really good. Um,
right.
yeah,
Right.
yeah,
Seeing stuff that we saw in terms of like people doing 540s down stair sets and grinding handrails, we only saw that in skate videos, and we weren't good enough at the time. And now all of a sudden we see it in real life. Here's Josh, these guys at the skate park. I remember telling my dad, like, Dad, I saw this guy do a grind that I'm not going to be able to do for like 6 more months. You know what I mean? It was just like this huge deal seeing this stuff. So yeah, it went from almost like a fantasy seeing it in the movies to like, this is something that's real, and here's the guys doing it, in front
yeah.
of us.
I remember like I think you had a box magazine, and
Yeah.
I can like distinctly remember this conversation. It was when we were still like skating the bicycle rack at Holmes Elementary, and
Mm-hmm.
there was like a picture of a guy, and it said he was doing a topsoul, and I remember us like debating forever, like what is a topsoul, like what
Yeah.
does it mean, what's the difference, like because we had no idea, like
We had no idea. And it's so like even having this conversation, it's sparking memories. I remember thinking that it was just when you did a soul grind like on top of something. And I
yeah.
remember like jumping up and being like top soul, like saying it to myself when I was just like doing a
Yeah.
little stall on a curb or something.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
literally to this day skating threw me off because seeing that top sole, like, and I was trying to figure it out, like, because I would do sole grinds on my right foot, but I thought a top sole was like you had to do it with your left foot coming the same way. So I to this day sole grind on my right foot and top sole on my left foot.
Really?
Yeah,
That's so interesting. Yeah, so you thought that was the only way it could be done.
yeah,
So
I
you
thought
learned it
that's what
that
a top
way.
sole was. So,
And it stuck.
like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that is so interesting.
How
Hmm.
big of a role did Brink play in skating for you coming up?
Oh, huge. Brink, I know for me, and it's funny thinking about it, like I growing up in Ohio, like I knew that I originally came from California and I had that, beginning in my mind. And then I saw Brink was this like cool California rollerblader. And I was like, yo, I'm that guy, or like I want to be that dude. And but again, it was like accessible to see someone, a movie about something you're into as well,
Mhm.
um, kind of mainstream. It was really, really cool.
Yeah,
So like it was like super relatable for me to see this kind of cool guy, ripping it up and going to these skate competitions. And it was like so inspiring. I remember
yeah,
it. I mean, even thinking about it now, I want to watch it and then go rollerblades. So
yeah. It's on
yeah, it's
Disney
so
Plus. You
cool.
can stream it now.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. It's all out there again. We can watch all of our old skate videos and it's amazing. So,
Yeah. So
hmm.
going back through the timeline, I remember, we met Josh, we started going to the Middletown Park and all that stuff. And then Tyler Grove started skating with us. And I
Yes,
remember skating with Tyler and just thinking like he was like a madman. Like he just did,
exactly.
yeah, like he would do anything, like literally zero fear, and be like, "Oh, here's this." Like I remember we came up with like the leap of faith thing when Brian Shima and John Elliott like didn't cut their
Yes,
hair or whatever, and we had it that gap like
right.
off the porch, and we're like, "That's the leap of faith because it's so scary to do." And then the same day he just went and jumped off of it. And then like we're like, okay, we need a new leap of faith, and so we made it like that big drop behind Jen's Deli, and we're like, that's the new leap
Right,
of faith, and he's like, okay, and like he did it the same day again, like he would just
right.
throw himself. It's crazy.
Yeah, he was definitely the first crazy person that we skated with. I remember thinking like, this is a guy that just started, but he is absolutely just like hucking himself off his stuff, and he would eat it really,
Yeah,
really hard sometimes too. But he would land stuff, and it was like, holy crap! Like this dude just started, and yeah, he like 180 the leap of faith, and like
yeah,
was grinding handrails, and which again we all played off of each other. It was like,
yeah,
all right, well, here's this guy doing stuff. Like let's
yeah,
up to the next level. Here we go.
yeah,
And that's
yeah,
probably around the time when we started getting injured as well.
yeah.
You know?
Yeah, because then Tyler was a little bit older than us, and he got a car. We met Garrett. Garrett and Parker started skating with us. Parker always had his nice shiny helmet on. But Garrett got, and then Garrett was older, and he had a car, and that's when
Yeah,
going from Josh, who was in it, in and out, and he was, I think, a senior by that time in high school. We were freshmen. But then having like Tyler and Garrett, who were close to our age but could drive, like we started going to places like the Nike Center, and we could drive to Middletown on our own or like whatnot. And I feel like that was another like unlocked level for us, to having regular access to a car and go places.
yeah, yeah, definitely. Again, yeah, being able, and it amazes me that back then, I mean, I think the most complex kind of internet map access we had was MapQuest,
Yeah.
but we would get on these message boards and we would figure out where a spot might be, and
Hmm.
then we would just go try to find it.
Yeah.
And I remember Lasanaville was a big one, and those, I still don't understand those rails at the lake where
Dillon Lake.
Dillon Lake. And so yeah, we would go on these adventures. We had friends that drove, and we had just enough technology to kind of get us in the general area,
Yeah.
and which would always lead us on other adventures. And yeah, so having friends,
Yeah.
that drove, and older friends and everything to get us there, and we made it happen.
I'm curious, kind of playing off that. It seemed, the way I think about skating now is I think about those things like BMAG message board, which was kind of like social media for skaters at that time.
Yeah.
Kind of like you said, you build the connections, and then we would
Hmm.
film and take, like, we had digital cameras and we were making videos before like anyone. Now, like TikTok and Instagram, like everyone makes videos, but like I remember
Right.
us doing video projects at school and making skate videos like before anyone did that stuff. Or we had
Yeah.
Prosperity, we did the clothing company and like came up with our stuff on that. But I feel like I picked up so much from skating, got so much exposure that taught me things about life that like I never learned in
Hmm.
school. We had a website, not just the Prosperity website, but we had a
Right.
1911 skate crew website that we like
Yeah.
updated. Like, so what are there any of those kinds of things that you feel like skating exposed you to or taught you about in life that you think are still relevant or that you still use today?
Oh, most definitely. And in terms of using those message boards, I think from a social perspective, the amount of people that we met, or the neighborhoods or cities we would go to skate in, and that aspect of rollerblading has a huge or had a huge impact, and still does, on you know um, my sense of like wanting to travel, being able to meeting new people, use how we use those message boards to communicate and find new spots, meet new people. um, Filming and not even the skate videos, we would film short videos sometimes of other stuff, and all of that, and nowadays having a record of our teenage years that we can access online is amazing. But it most definitely impacted kind of me on a social level,
Yeah,
100%. I mean,
yeah,
no doubt at all.
yeah. It's even
Mhm.
interesting, because then our crew, started to expand, and we started to get people like Zane joined in the crew from Washington Courthouse, then Matt Hornick,
Right.
and then
That
Chris
one,
Dickey,
yeah.
and then eventually Ben became part of the crew, and we had,
Yeah.
even though we were like the Wilmington crew, like really it was kind of all around that vicinity, like within a 50-mile radius of Wilmington, like we all just got together. We met the Cincinnati people. We met the, Ryan Benner and the Nonsense crew up,
Yeah.
in Dayton. And
Right.
yeah, like built those connections with people. So that's another one I want to ask you about. So is Matt Hornick. When we met Matt, I think we met Matt through Zane, right? I think is the way I
I
remember it.
I believe so.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a little foggy, but I think that was the connection.
Yeah, I remember
Was
the thing. I
Zane.
just remember meeting Matt, and the first day I can recall meeting him was again at the Welfare Ledge, like where we met everybody pretty much.
That was
And
the spot.
yeah, I think he did a zero spin down the welfare gap, and I was like, okay, like this guy's like pretty legit.
Yeah.
He had Shima threes or something, but yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yep. And yeah, he always had like, I don't know, we would always stay at his place. He always had like the best snacks. And
yeah,
Matt was kind of like an interesting guy because he it took a while for him to kind of like warm up. You know what I mean? Like he was kind of reserved, but he was like a really good skater.
yeah,
And then he added a lot to the crew, and that was another connection
yeah.
that had an impact on us.
Yeah. I
Hmm.
always felt like Matt, the way I think of him was, I feel like he almost like became the glue that held everybody together as we like expanded out. You know, he was always I remember him like always calling or always trying to set up a session, or like he was the person that if you wanted to skate and no one else wanted to, he would skate. Like or
Yeah.
he or even when like I moved eventually down and moved to college in Cincinnati, like he was the guy that would drive down and skate with me or pick me up or whatnot. I just always felt like he became that glue that held us together.
Most definitely. And he was all, I think he was always very serious about like film and filming.
Yeah,
And if you ever wanted to film or, or discuss, a section, or you wanted a cool shot or something, I feel like Matt was like always there. And he was adventurous too,
yeah,
so yeah, I think Matt being the glue is very accurate.
yeah.
Hmm.
Um, I'm gonna hit you with a couple quick fire questions, and then I'm
Yeah.
gonna see if I can pull up this section. We can watch it. So
Oh, yeah, 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 that sounds good.
cool. All right. Real quick, top of mind. What was the most memorable trick that you ever did?
Okay, so I right off the top of my head, when I fakey 360'd off of that person's porch, like
Yeah.
over the bush, I
Yep.
remember I did it like on a whim, and I remember Josh was like, "Oh my God!" Like he like
Yeah.
freaked out, and it like I just felt like so cool after I did it. It was just an
Yeah.
adrenaline rush. Josh cheering for me, and
Yeah.
you were just like, like
Yeah.
blown away. That was a
It
good one.
because the landing was on those like bricks, if you
Yeah, it
remember.
was the brick. Yeah,
Yeah, like
yeah,
really
the
choppy
cobblestone.
bricks. Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah. I'm surprised I even could land on it at all,
yeah.
but it worked out.
I remember that too. I felt like I remember that session and that day, like, and I kind of remembered as like the point where it was like, okay, like Travis is like like escalating and hitting his peak and taking it to a new level. That's what I remember about that.
No, totally. And it was around that time, I think, for me when I started doing that kind of stuff. It was taking it to that next level, doing gaps that I didn't think I could do, hitting rails I didn't think I could hit,
Yeah.
and so on and so forth. We all started pushing each other for
Yep.
sure.
Cool.
Yeah.
What were your favorite pair of skates that you ever skated?
That's a tough one. I I want to say I really did like those USDs that I had. I don't even remember
Albert
what
Huey's.
was that what they were?
It was
Yeah.
black with the
Yes.
UHMW. Yep. The diamond
Yes.
frames
It's
and
the diamond frames.
yep.
I loved those skates. I had a lot of fun on them. So off the top of my head, I would go with those. I did a lot of tricks with those skates that I'm proud of to this day.
Yeah.
And so I'll go ahead and I'll go with those.
All right. What was your favorite skate brand coming up? Any rollerblading brand?
Any rollerblading brand. Uh, I mean, not a big surprise. I think Mind Game was up there.
Yeah.
But there was a progression, with like 50/50 Senate,
Mhm.
kind of early on, and then so that's apparel and film. But yeah, Mind Game, I think they really brought a lot to
Yeah.
the table for me and for us. So
What was your favorite skate video of all time?
skate video. Okay, let's see. That was probably VG. Oh my gosh, what one was it? California Dreamin', dude.
G11, California Dreamer. Yeah.
Definitely that, because that was absolutely VG11, no doubt.
Yeah.
Because that was when we were getting serious. We saw these guys skating out in California. It was cool. It was amazing. We wanted to be like them, and that had a huge. We would watch it over and over. I think we burned out who knows how many VHS tapes,
Yeah.
that had it copied or original.
Yep. I
California
think
Dreamin', yes.
yeah, I put it on I have burned it to a DVD and it was like a VHS copy from the original. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Awesome, awesome. Video groove, absolutely.
yeah. What was your worst fall skating?
That uh, breaking my arm. I think that one, physically and mentally, was the worst. I mean, I was always afraid it was going to happen. I didn't expect it to happen. On the grind, it happened, it was shocking, and it took a lot of recovery time, and it changed the way I skated. So I would say that was breaking both my radius and ulna on my
Yeah.
right arm on video, which makes it pretty okay.
Yeah. Yeah,
But
and
that one,
then you had the pins. Like I
I did,
still like
yeah.
I was trying. So I was showing Gwen, my 4-year-old, that
Oh,
video,
it's so
and
cute. Yeah.
which she was like, I want to watch Travis break his arm. Like she literally. Whatever. But I was trying to explain to her why you had the pins, and she kept like, well, why didn't you have? Because she broke her arm, and
That's right.
yeah,
Yep.
so she's like, how come he had pins and not a cast? And like, why did they give you those pins instead of a cast?
So at my age, my bones were not setting as they should. They were kind of sliding back out of place. So after they did the X-ray, my bones had not actually started to heal. They had just kind of slid out of line. So at that age, the best way to actually fix the broken arm was to screw it together. So that was
Gotcha.
4 screws and a pin, and then it healed. So I still have the scars, but it
Yeah,
healed. Yeah.
learn from. All right, cool. Well, I'm gonna try my best. I'm gonna see if this works. If you can
Okay.
see my screen, and we'll watch. We're gonna watch one of your sections. So I've pre-picked it. Hopefully, you're okay with this section that
No,
we're gonna
yeah,
watch.
whatever it is, let's do it.
All right. Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
All right, cool. Well, this is it. And basically, as you're watching, if anything pops into your mind, any memories or whatnot, just shout it out and go with it.
Okay.
Ready?
Cool. Let's
All
do
right.
it. Here we go. Oh yeah, that was getting in trouble by the cop security. That happened all the time, but it never stopped us.
Yeah.
All right,
Why'd
that
you
was
pick
a good one.
Eminem?
This song had like a sense of kind of rebellious energy, and I remember connecting with it.
Yeah.
So I haven't watched this section in a long time. Those ledges were fun.
Yeah. I
I would go
remember
back.
finding those in Lebanon and thinking they were
Yeah,
just like dream ledges.
yeah. There we go. Oh, caught one there. It's funny seeing our kind of our style and our fashion.
Yeah.
We used to just wear the baggiest, loosest clothes that we could find. This was a pretty scary gap. You remember that crack? There's a huge crack
Yeah. And the
right
road
before.
sucked too, landing
Yeah,
that
the
road.
road is terrible. It was like pretty much like gravel.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think we endured like a lot of really bad conditions, like growing up in the Midwest and like
Yeah.
skating some of these spots. That was a 360 Soul. That was a fun little set. Yeah, so I think I was probably we were like 15,
15
16.
turned 16, I think, in this.
Yeah, the El Dorado rail, which actually kind of sucked.
Yeah.
Like, remember, it was just a really crappy run up, and that was still fun.
Cracks everywhere. It was just low.
Yeah,
That's the only good thing about it.
it was like above ankle high, like
Yeah.
barely. Yeah, the welfare ledges are not there anymore.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
Tore
it's
it
all
down.
like it's done.
Yeah.
Oh, that was a
They tore
fun
this
that
out
was a
too.
fun
That place, like right after we
Oh,
found
really?
it.
That was a cool little rail.
Do you remember skating in Lima that day with those guys that we met? And it was just like the guy doing the flips and stuff. That was crazy.
We always met characters like that, you know what I mean? Like it's just thinking back, like we hung out with all these like kind of motley crews of people.
Yeah.
I remember that was a fun little spot right there. There's the welfare again. Barely pulled that off. Some of this stuff though, I mean, it's definitely impressive that we all were doing.
Got
And
your wrist
again,
guard like in most of these clips from after breaking your arm.
yeah, yeah, definitely. I remember I had, and I still have some, it's like my tendons are kind of inflamed on my right arm. Oh, is this it? The final 180?
Yeah.
That stair set was pretty serious. I remember I think the 180 was the best I could do, but that was
Yeah.
a good time. Little blast from the past.
Yeah. Yeah. There's I remember I think that's when I really remember we had the first defeating improbability video that we
Hmm.
rolled out with, and that was fun and just kind of like random stuff them together. But I feel like Justified Disobedience was like our first real like let's
It
go
was.
make a skate video like type of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, we had well-defined sections, good editing,
Yeah.
bigger tricks. We had definitely taken the next step up in, our skill level. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's a lot of
That's what I
fun.
I remember about it. Cool.
Mhm.
Well, what kind of what words of wisdom or advice would you provide to any up and coming skaters or new somebody who's thinking about getting into skating? What would you say to them?
Yeah, I would say, to just to enjoy yourself, to be adventurous, to not be afraid to kind of push the limits a little bit if
Yep.
you're comfortable with it, and meet new people, and yeah, and connect with friends, and be excited because it's definitely kind of a conduit to meet. You're going to meet new people, you're going to have fun experiences, you're going to maybe be uncomfortable at times, but you're going to push through it, and come out kind of stronger, and with a new activity. So
Yeah.
I think that would be, like, in a nutshell, what I would tell someone you know coming up as a new rollerblader.
Yeah. Yeah, I think
Hmm.
that's cool. So, well, awesome, Travis. Thanks for walking down memory lane with me.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Yeah, before we close it out, any other like last minute words of wisdom or shout outs you want to give to anybody?
Yeah, just a shout out to anyone that will watch this, any of our friends that influenced me, that had, that we shared experiences with. Definitely had every bit of an impact on who I am today, and for that I am forever grateful. So even if we haven't spoken to each other in years, I'll never forget you, and I'm happy that we grew up skating together.
Yep. Awesome.
So
Well,
yeah,
thanks, Travis. Appreciate you
thank
taking the time
you.
to chat with me.
Absolutely. I hope to do it again soon.